Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today you're going to get another rant from yours truly. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I'm a huge AEW fan. I'll be the first one to give them credit when I think they're doing something great, but I also don't want to be the kind of fan who pretends everything is fine just because I like the company. And honestly, I'm just not excited about a lot of the booking heading into All In. Right now, the only storyline that's really got me invested is Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. Everything else just feels like it's missing something considering it's the biggest AEW show of the year. I actually went back and forth on whether I really wanted to make this video because I know some people are going to disagree and that's totally fine. But when I started this channel, I promised myself I'd always be honest about how I feel, whether it's praising AEW, criticizing WWE, or calling out AEW when I think they're dropping the ball, as I'm not interested in being a shield for any company. So today I want to talk about what's not working for me on the road to All In, why I think the build has felt underwhelming, and what I think AEW could have done differently. First, let's talk about Redemption, which had a lot of people online question if it was needed at all. I wasn't as excited for this pay-per-view once again due to a lack of build. And while it was decent, I wasn't blown away or anything. It wasn't awful, but by AEW pay-per-view standards, it was just above average for me, so I give it a 7 out of 10. Definitely at the bottom of this year's pay-per-view list so far. I was very disappointed that Tekla lost the title, as I feel like she has been carrying the women's division for months and she deserved to go into All In as a champion. And I really wanted to see her have a feud with Mercedes, as they are the top stars of the women's division. And I know some people's reasoning is that it would have been heel versus heel, but they could have easily made some changes and make Mercedes more of a face, so she can finally have her big moment at Wembley after she wins the women's championship. So who knows what Tekla is going to do at All In now. I also wasn't a big fan of Shida losing the title so soon. She was a champion for less than a month and I feel like she has been doing great character work and deserved a better run instead of being a transitional champion. I was also disappointed that neither Hangman or Swerve were anywhere to be found, as I thought that Redemption was just the perfect theme and opportunity for them to show up and start new storylines for All In. Some of the highlights for me were the ladder match. I thought it was great, although I was kinda annoyed that half the losers still got random title shots just a few days later on Dynamite for no reason. Jack Perry and Nick Wayne had a match for the national title, and Commander had one for the Continental Championship, all with zero explanation or reason. Just makes me wonder in kayfabe, what's the point of winning such an intense match on a pay-per-view if anyone can just get a random title shot anyways? Kyle Fletcher versus Brodido was amazing, Ciampa versus Jericho was very entertaining, and of course, Kenny Omega versus Kevin Knight was match of the night for me. But Kenny did an amazing storytelling in the ring leaning towards a more douchey attitude to teach Kevin a lesson. We also witnessed, allegedly, the end of Ospreay's Death Riders run, and I had mixed feelings about this. It felt slightly underwhelming, if that was actually the end of it, because to me it was probably one of the most interesting things going on in wrestling at the moment, so it felt kind of sudden. But at the same time, I am glad it led to Kenny doing the one-winged angel and Will, and that amazing segment they had the Dynamite after Redemption. Was 100% on board with Will winning at All In, but now part of me wants Kenny to retain, leading to Will going full Death Rider and killing Moxley and Kenny with a plastic bag. In a video game, of course. Please don't ban me, YouTube. Then they announced the new Continental Cup. I really don't think we need another cup for this championship. We just got out of the Owen Hart Cup just to jump into another one. Maybe I wouldn't have much of an issue if it was at a different time of the year, but we are weeks away from All In, like I said. The biggest show of the year where they should be using the TV time to build these storylines and feuds. And now we're just gonna have a bunch of random matches as fillers instead. We have 16 people in this cup, way too many. Just by looking at the matches announced, I could easily guess who's gonna be eliminated on the first round. They could have made it 8 spots, maybe, and keep it more exclusive and earned, or use that time on the women's division, which doesn't feel as strong at the moment. I just don't see the point of it, since apparently anyone can get a title shot match on a Dynamite after losing another title shot match in a pay-per-view like Commander did. If I have to guess, it's probably going to be Jon Moxley versus Jay White. And the feud is gonna last only a few days because the semi-final is at Glasgow 4 days before All In. And while I'm not super excited about that match, I still think it's a wasted potential of a good storyline that could have been built a bit longer, since Moxley is really good at telling stories. Okay, so now the last part of my rant, and something I've been disappointed about for a few months now. So Hangman returned after being away for months to cut a short promo only because it was his home state, just to disappear for like 2 weeks and a half, and is then put on a random trios team again. Remember Jet Set Rodeo? I barely do. Literally, the second I saw Hangman was in the match with Brodido against the Demand, I knew they were gonna win just to get the Mexican pop, cause Bandido, I guess. And this is something I've been annoyed with lately regarding who wins matches. Tony Khan has become very predictable of giving wins to people just to get a pop from the crowd because the wrestler is from there. And yeah, I'm sure it's nice for the wrestler and the crowd to cheer for their local hero, but when you do it 90% of the time, especially when it doesn't seem earned or it's out of nowhere, I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it, and it feels like it was all for a cheap pop. And the worst part is that a lot of this has happened in the trios titles in this year alone, causing a bunch of bullshit title reigns. We saw this at Revolution when Mistico and Jet Speed won the trios titles since a big part of the audience was Mexican. They defeated the Don Callis family, who were champions for only 11 days. Then we saw the conglomeration win a dynasty because Kyle O'Reilly was from Vancouver. They defeated the Dogs, who were champions for 1 day, which is criminal. And I saw people coping, saying that they called an audible and changed the finish because Gabe Kidd got injured. I mean, yeah, he got injured, but they confirmed the conglomeration was a planned winner since the very start. Yesterday at Grand Slam Mexico, we saw this again. This random ass team of Hangman, Adam Page, and Brodido, which was made a week ago, by the way, challenged the Demand and won the belts. Like I said earlier, as soon as I saw it announced, I knew it was over for the Demand. It's like, GG. There's no way Hangman was going to lose on his first match back. I was hoping to be proven wrong and that someone would interfere somehow, but no. Honestly, just retire the titles at this point. They're not taken seriously. Half the time, they're not even on the pay-per-view and are on the pre-show instead. And no, I don't want 1 year long reigns either. But when you have an established actual team win the belts just to lose them a day later or in a week, it just makes no sense to me. There are so many factions, which is one of the things I liked the most when I started watching AEW. And I believe the trios title should be given more importance and be seen as a way to show who the better faction or group is. Now we have Hangman in trios purgatory because it just seems like they don't know what to do with him story-wise when he should be challenging for any of the other 50 mid-card titles AEW has. He isn't even in that Continental Cup, by the way. And while I thought Grand Slam was good, I feel like there was barely anything moving storylines towards the build to All In. They finally announced the Brawling Birds versus Divine Dominion, but everyone and their moms has known for months they're gonna take the belts on Wembley since the minute they formed that team. Guess what? Once again, get the local hero pop because they're British. Anyways, I know I worked myself into a shoot, but I guess that's what wrestling does to you sometimes. With that being said, I'm still very excited for All In, especially Kenny versus Will. So much that the build for the match so far almost balances out all this stuff I'm happy about. They're my favorite wrestlers, so yeah, maybe I'm a bit biased. I'm also looking forward to the Casino Gauntlet. Those are always very fun to watch. And I would also like to see the New Day show up soon. I think it would be very interesting if they're somehow involved in the pay-per-view. I still hope we get better development for a couple more stories going forward because I know AEW is capable of it. But let me know if you agree or disagree with some of my takes and your current thoughts about the build to All In and what you're excited about so far. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't, do it anyways. Until next time, see ya.